Folks, it's 2018, and we are now experiencing a veritable mirrorless apocalypse. But don't worry, it's actually good news for all of us. Let me explain. Until now, you had a choice to make. Mirrorless, with some compromises, versus a tried and true DSLR with some other compromises. DSLRs offer great battery life, often have compatibility with a legacy of lenses, and the higher end models are insanely quick and responsive. But they have a mirror, which has fast become an outdated concept in terms of size and space. While early generations of mirrorless were slower to operate, they ate batteries for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and they may have required investing in an entirely new lens system. But they excel in what you see is what you get. You actually see the sensor readout, what your photo is going to look like on your electronic viewfinder. Of course, I could go on and on with positives and negatives of both systems, but let's move on. Panasonic, Sony, Leica, and Fuji have been out front with mirrorless, and it's been a unique opportunity for them to take market share away from the two biggest names, Nikon and Canon. 10 years ago, you'd have been a bit of an outlier if you were shooting something other than Nikon or Canon in the interchangeable lens camera market. Today, it's bring your own brand, and no matter which one you choose, it's likely that you've got something special and quite capable in your hands. Nikon and Canon have moved more slowly than other brands when it comes to mirrorless. In my opinion, this is because they have more to lose, and I'm not saying that that's good or bad, it's just my opinion. Both have systems including lenses and flashes and other accessories that are compatible with equipment made for at least the last couple of decades. However, recently, some lens updates like electronically controlled aperture have broken from the legacy of compatibility with older camera bodies. I mean, in Nikon's case, and I believe this is to their credit, they've held on to the F-mount for half a century. But the game, it's changed. People want smaller, faster, and all around better. And with changes in the industry and seeing people leaving for other formats, Nikon and Canon, they can go for it. They can change the mount, the size, and the shape of the cameras and shed some of the things that they've held dear for a long time. Now, I think it's natural for Nikon and Canon to get highly scrutinized by all of us, regardless of the design decisions. This is definitely an epic departure from the past for both brands, and of course that's going to make us uncomfortable. I think the only thing that should have made us more nervous is if they hadn't done anything at all. Now, I'm not making excuses for Nikon and Canon. Their first full-frame mirrorless efforts are behind the competition in some respects, including time frame. But as some of you know, I've got a Nikon Z7 pre-ordered, and I would definitely consider a Canon mirrorless in the future as a replacement to my little Canon Rebel SL2 here. I've shot much Nikon and some Canon for a long time. They've certainly got my attention, and I'm going to give them a shot with this. One thing that I've noticed about mirrorless, it seems to have brought about a renaissance of creative camera design. I am the proud owner of this small but mighty Fuji X100F, which is my point-and-shoot dream come true. While on the other end of the spectrum, this large and seemingly bulletproof Leica SL that I've been using for the past couple of weeks delivers both in robust design, 2 memory card slots, and really all the pro features that you would expect from a traditional DSLR, but in a mirrorless body. Let's talk about memory card slots for a second, because it has certainly been a hot topic lately. With the Nikon Z system, many of you have said, I would never shoot a wedding with 1 memory card slot. And the wonderful thing is that we have choices, and dual slot DSLRs are plentiful. And there are also some mirrorless options with 2 slots, like this Leica. But don't let any person or brand pressure you one way or another. If a camera doesn't suit your needs, pass on it. I would say, though, that I wouldn't dismiss something because I or any other YouTuber says that something is wrong with it or otherwise substandard. Consider how and what you shoot And even if someone in a video like this one wouldn't agree with you, you are the one who calls the shots for you. Draw your own conclusions. I have a short story for you. In my own wedding about 10 years ago, the photographer shot with a Canon Rebel XT. It was a several years old camera, and it didn't bother me a bit. There was one photographer, one camera, and yes, one card slot. And I have photos, but I also knew that I had a couple of cameras of my own nearby in case something went wrong. If you're shooting weddings on a larger scale than my tiny beach wedding, I'd expect that you would have additional cameras ready and probably a team of 2 or more photographers. I am partial to having 3 photographers and backup gear for my backup gear. But what I'm saying is that the considerations for risk management for one-time events, it goes much further than how many card slots are in your camera. You could have 3, 4, 5 card slots in your camera, but if you miss focus on a series of important moments, you still won't win the day. Also, one more thing. I mentioned a moment ago that I've been running around with this Leica SL for the past couple of weeks. The full review is coming soon, but for those of you who enjoy kind of the inside story, my channel members can see me with this beast of a mirrorless camera behind the scenes in the desert this morning in my weekly Member Monday video. Also, I talk about my latest projects like next week's annual bikini shoot and my new setup for my image backups that goes far beyond card slots, let me tell you. In other words, you might have a couple of card slots in your camera, but what happens next after all those images are downloaded? So look for that join button down below to get access to Member Monday and all of my new exclusive content. If you don't see the join button, there's a link down below in the description of the video. You can use that instead. Okay, that's about it for me for now. For me, in this mirrorless apocalypse, I am getting busy with my Leica SL review, getting that all ready for you all, but I've got to admit the quality of images from the Leica, they go far beyond brand perception. You'll see me talk more about the image quality and the camera itself very soon. Also, I've got more videos coming up about my adventures with the X100F and how I use it. And it's definitely the countdown to having the Nikon Z7 as a permanent resident here in my studio also. I'm really looking forward to checking out what Nikon has come up with. Whether you're a fan of the early buzz around the Z7 or not, one thing is certain, whether it's on time or just a little bit late compared to some of the competitors, it's a new lens mount and a new approach for Nikon, and I intend to shoot with it for all it's worth and keep you all up to date every step of the way. Now, down in those comments, tell me what you think. Are Nikon and Canon too late to the party, or is their measured pace best for their business and our satisfaction? Or are you shooting with a certain mirrorless or non-mirrorless camera and loving it and aren't concerned with everyone else who's losing their darn minds over these recent announcements? Chime in and let's get the conversation going. Thanks for watching, everyone.